What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here on Mock Draft Monday. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. Have a ton of fantasy football content coming your way, a ton of fantasy football profiles already on the channel, a ton of redraft content, values, busts, sleepers, league winners, all that stuff coming your way, Dynasty, so hit that sub button. Let's hop into this mock draft. PPR mock draft in the 11th spot, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. Typical league format. Let's get it. Okay, so the draft started off. We had Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, and Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase went. Let's take a look at all the players that are left available. Hide the drafted players. So at running back for me, it would be Joe Mixon would be the top player left. At wide receiver, it'd probably be Stephon Diggs. And then it's a little too early for me to take a tight end. I'm actually going to take Joe Mixon here. I think he's good value at the 11th spot. Really like the type of volume that we know he's going to receive. They said the other day, too, they expect him to play more third downs this season. Yeah, good. Most improved offensive line in football as well as being on a good offense. So a lot of boxes that he checks. Okay, back up again. Leonard Fournette, Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley on the board. Davante Adams, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb. Deebo Samuel is actually in tier 2 for them, which is a little bit surprising to me. Um, I feel like it's a little too early for me to take Adams or Diggs. I think Diggs is a good value. I do worry about the touch counts that they have in Buffalo a little bit, limiting his upside. I'll take Aaron Jones here. I feel like he's a safe pick. Going to get to catch a ton of passes this year with Davante gone. They lost a ton of targets. Him and MVS both left in free agency, or MVS left in free agency, and Davante was traded. But I'll take him there. Okay, A.J. Brown still available, wide receiver T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., David Montgomery, Travis Etienne. I didn't think I would take A.J. Brown in many drafts, to be honest with you, with the quarterback situation there, but I'm actually going to take him here in the third round at this point, the 311. A super talented football player. He'll be fine once he gets a ball in his hands, so I have no problem taking him there. David Montgomery, I think, is a good player. He's like the last of a certain tier, I feel like, to me. Travis Etienne can certainly get in that tier this year, but I don't think he's currently there. It's between him and Michael Pittman Jr. for me here. Man, this is tough. I'll actually take. You know what? I was gonna say I was gonna take Pittman Jr. because he's the receiver, and this is a PPR draft. But they actually just said the other day they want David Montgomery to catch more passes this season, so I'm gonna draft him. Not a ton of running backs catch passes in general, so to get several of them already, I feel good about it. And then I'll load up on wide receivers from here on out, essentially. Okay, a lot of the good players have gone already. I was going to say, I was going to take Amari Cooper. I'll just take Marquise Brown here. Snag him up as my wide receiver 1. I think he'll get off to a really hot start to the beginning of the season with Hopkins suspended for the first 6 games. And then I'll take Jerry Jeudy here. Again, I know Amari Cooper is good. I just worry about that quarterback position. It could probably be Jacoby Brissett for an entire season. If it's 6 games, I probably would take Cooper. But I'll take Jerry Jeudy here. Give me some of that upside with him and Russell Wilson that he could explode. Or at least I think he could be a solid wide receiver too, as long as he can stay healthy for football. Okay, so we are up on the board again. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting draft for wide receivers. Really, really, really pushed them to the back. Taking a look at who's still available at wide receiver. At tight end, Hawkinson still on the board. Not a huge Hawkinson fan. I like him in the 7th, 8th round, though. I think that's good value at this point in drafts. I really like Dalton Schultz this year, though. Gosh. You know what? I will take Christian Kirk here. And then hopefully the receiver that I want gets to me in this next round as well. And he did. Okay. And then I'm going to pull the trigger on Allen Lazard, the number 1 wide receiver right now for the Green Bay Packers. I think he has a lot of upside, a lot of touchdown upside. Caught 8 touchdowns last year on not that many passes. Could easily improve his receiving yards, his receptions, and even if he keeps his touchdown the same, which if targets and all that stuff go up, likely touchdowns go up as well. But Okay, and then I'll snag Jacoby Myers here. He's the most targeted New England receiver for the last 2 years. PPR league, I think he'll be a very, very solid wide receiver, two worst case scenario, and has upside if he can ever get in the end zone. He has caught touchdowns before, obviously, but just not a huge touchdown guy over his career per target. Took Chris Olave there. I really did think about taking TJ Hawkins in there in the 11th round. Again, I think that's great value for Hawkins, and I think he's a guy who, as long as he stays healthy, he'll be very good for fantasy. Okay, I'm going to snag Tim Patrick here. Zach Ertz is on the board. He's interesting. Again, with that Hopkins suspension. I think if you can get the pass catching down to a few guys that you're basically sure are going to get the work, then obviously there's a lot of upside there. Did I draft him? I thought I did. Okay, it's just loading. Here we go. Okay. Zach Ertz still on the board. I'll snag him up right here. I like getting him at the beginning of because I feel like he's one of the few tight ends you can draft that has some upside early that you can get late. And I feel like, yeah, again, for those first 6 weeks, I'd be a little bit surprised if he's not a top 6, maybe even top 5 tight end at the beginning of the season. I'll snag Gus Edwards here. I think he's a really solid backup to J.K. Dobbins, who's not going to play in the preseason. Both of them are coming off major injuries. But I think Gus Edwards is getting slept on a little bit more, and he's usually utilized in the offense even if J.K. Dobbins is healthy. So he's a guy you can flex and contain and has great upside baked into his range of outcomes. I'll snag Marvin Jones Jr. here from Jacksonville. Jameson Williams just a little bit too early for me to draft him with his injury for this coming season. Really like his prospects long term, though. Now we're getting down to it. No quarterback yet. It's going to be my very last pick that I take one with. Kind of wanted to see what that would look like if that was my... Obviously, I could have taken one earlier. But yeah, just want to see if you really, really punt the position, what your options are later in the draft. Deshaun Watson's down there because of his suspension risk. This one's tough. It's for two guys between me. It's either Matt Ryan or Justin Fields. You know what? I'll take Justin Fields for the upside. I just feel like they'll be down in game scripts a lot, so he's a good chance to call his own number and just take off running. That's obviously the biggest weakness of this team, but you can stream guys, do things like that. When I started so RB heavy, I knew I needed to take a shotgun approach at that wide receiver position, and I usually do like to draft my tight end a little bit late, so I knew quarterback was going to be one of my last priorities. But let's go over the team. So we got Justin Fields, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, A.J. Brown, Marquise Brown, Zach Ertz, David Montgomery, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Kirk, Alan Lazard, Jacoby Myers, Chris Olave, Tim Patrick, Gus Edwards, and Marvin Jones Jr. to round out the team. Really do like the team. Obviously, I did take A.J. Brown before Marquise Brown. I said he was my wide receiver 1, but a pretty solid receiving core. I like the running backs. I really do like this team. I feel like it's got solid depth. Maybe doesn't have as much upside some of these positions, or some guys have their upside limited a little bit. Marquise Brown, like I said, I think he'll get off to a real hot start to start the season. And A.J. Brown, I think he'll have a good season by being both those guys. A.J. Brown will be limited by the quarterback position there. Marquise Brown will probably be limited by his overall target share, although I think he could still be very good for fantasy once Hopkins comes back because he's such a deep threat. Kyler Murray's a good deep ball thrower. It's a great combination. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the team. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fancy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.